So thank you so much to SIOP and to the fabulous four that organized this course. It's really exciting to have this first course on palliative care and pediatric oncology, and a special thanks to Georgia for introducing the theme to us. Everything she said is, of course, on point. And I think we could spend all morning talking about the issues of terminology, what we should call what we are doing, what we should call palliative care, if we should change the name or not. So I will divide my short talk in this 3 moments. Hopefully we'll have some time for some questions at the end. So I will start by a short introduction to pediatric palliative care. I don't know if you are familiar with the World Health Organization page for palliative care, but this is what you will find there. There's much more, of course, but this is the definition, the current definition of palliative care. So I would like to stress 2 things here. One is that palliative care should be considered early in a disease, and that it also does not replace your usual care. It can be provided alongside regular medical care. So there's no duality here, that it's not either curative or palliative care. It can be both at the same time. And because we really don't have much time for this talk, I encourage you also to visit the page of the European Association for Palliative Care, Children and Young People working group, where you will find the European Charter on pediatric palliative care. And as you can see, it's already translated in so many European languages. I'm sure you will find a version that you can read on. I would also like to encourage you to read this paper, which is the latest international standards for pediatric palliative care. So it already again has many definitions and all the standards that we should abide to. And what I would like to call your attention here is that indeed, children with cancer do fit all the conditions that may need pediatric palliative care. So cancer can be a life-threatening condition, a life-limiting condition, and of course, unfortunately, a terminal illness. Georgia already said this. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, the whole family is affected. What we professionals don't often see is the other side of the illness. We don't see the illness experience. And Georgia already stressed this. There's a high degree of uncertainty that's really overwhelming for families. And this can really be a roller coaster. Even on the same day, things can be very low or very high. And we also need to acknowledge that families can live through this dual reality, that they are aware that their child is severely ill and may indeed die from the disease or from complications, but they still have hope and faith that there is a miracle and that their child may survive. So we do need to acknowledge this. And again, I call your attention to these 2 papers about hope at the end of life. That really parents, even at the end of life, need to keep hope. And we as healthcare professionals need to help them nurture that hope, because it's the only way to keep on living. I also like very much this graphic from our colleagues in the United States, Abby Rosenberg and Joanne Wolf, and the way they put this. So what they tell us is that from the beginning, a child or a young person with cancer, indeed, the needs are the same from the beginning. Everyone, either they survive or they do not survive, and they die. They all need, and their families, they need to have hope for cure, hope for comfort and meaning, and holistic, proactive care. The only difference will be, of course, at the end. But palliative care should really be integrated from the beginning. Now, the problem is that when we admit to our department a child with cancer, we really don't know who is going to survive or not. We don't have a crystal ball. We know that 1 in 5, in median terms, 1 in 5 is not going to survive, but we don't know which one it is. And we all have been surprised by some outcomes. So this really makes it important to integrate palliative care to all from the beginning. And increasingly, palliative care is really being recognized as not just care for the dying, for the person at the end of life, but for people who are living with a life-threatening illness as cancer is. So we can, of course, emphasize that palliative care is about what's been called a good death. But I would say that especially pediatric palliative care, because survival can be so long, is especially also about living a good life. And Georgia already told us many things about this, but these are the 5 pillars of pediatric palliative care. So good communication, shared decision-making, advanced care planning, of course, symptom control, and family support. So this is the 5 things that we need to focus on from diagnosis onwards. But unfortunately, there are many, many wrong ideas and a lot of stigma around palliative care, as Georgia already said, and we were discussing just now, that palliative care is connoted with death and end of life. And so this is the very well recognized strange love-hate relationship that we all have with palliative care. And it leads to something that our colleagues, adult oncologists, Doctors Hui and Bruera, call the self-fulfilling prophecy. And so this self-fulfilling prophecy is because there's this stigma of palliative care being end-of-life care. This leads to late referrals. And if people are referred very late in the disease trajectory, of course, they will die shortly after the referral. So this is an ongoing negative cycle. And I'm sure you're all familiar with this avocado or they are not ready yet syndrome, because not today, not tomorrow, they're not ready yet, and then it's too late and the child is already in the process of actively dying. So what we need to acknowledge is that the concept of what palliative care is has really indeed been evolving. So of course it did start in the 60s as end-of-life care for adults who were dying with cancer. And then it evolved to become recognized as good, supportive, and person and family-centered care. But now we're talking about something else. We are now talking about timely preventative care. And timely preventative care is nothing more than the right care for the right patient at the right time, whenever the patient needs and wherever the patient is. And for children, as you can see in this cartoon, it really should mean that it's there from diagnosis, and then whatever the trajectory of the disease takes the child and the family, palliative care is always there from the beginning. And if there's a remission, a cure, then the child and the family, they can no longer need the support of the palliative care team or service. But this really should be what we aim for in our pediatric oncology departments. So we need to change from the self-fulfilling prophecy to a positive cycle of timely referrals. When we really refer children earlier to palliative care, there is more time to work with the children and families, then there we will find greater benefits from this integration. So moving now to a very short history of what's been happening in pediatric oncology and palliative care. I looked into PubMed and I found that the first papers about palliative care in pediatric oncology are from 1986. And I thought it's really nice that the first paper is a parent's view on experimental chemotherapy in children with cancer. Of course, the first 2 are about neuroblastoma, which is my disease of election. But anyways, a parent's view. And then in 2014-15, you can see that the number of patients really started growing a lot. And again, we can see that we start to see a lot of evidence and research about psychosocial and nursing care. So this is really interesting. The first time that SIOP, so the International Society of Pediatric Oncology, published guidelines for assistance to terminally ill children with cancer in 1999, yes. So as you can see, they equaled palliative care to terminal care, what we would now call end-of-life care. And 10 years later, when SIOP published the European Standards of Care for Children with Cancer, if you can believe it, this is the whole chapter on palliative care. And it just says, it follows the same lines of that paper from SIOP, and it says that palliative care is care for a child who is terminally ill. So this is, of course, derived from this traditional old view of oncologists that, as I said before, it's dual. So you either are under curative care or you're under palliative care. But these are not opposing values, because really the aims of the early integration of palliative care to pediatric oncology, I think we can all support and align with these aims. This is what we want for our children and families. And the benefits are increasingly being recognized, and they go from a better quality of life, increased satisfaction of families, but also of healthcare professionals. And it's been also demonstrated that it can lead to reduced costs and less intensive care at the end of life. So this is really something that we need to recognize and to support. Now, there have been some strong recommendations for the early integration of palliative care in pediatric oncology, and they've been mostly coming from the other side of the pond, so from our colleagues in the United States and in Canada. But until very recently, there were no formal guidelines. But in 2021, the WHO published a cure-all framework for childhood cancer. And as you can see in this cartoon, of the four mainstays of this framework, one of them is treatment and palliative care. So it started to be recognized as an important part of the disease and treatment trajectory. And as Catherine already said, in 2022, SIOP Europe started this palliative care working group. And this is the inaugural steering committee. Now people have changed because it's a 3-year term. And this was officially launched in 2022. So please do check our page if you haven't yet. In the past 3 years, we've been very, very busy. We've been doing some research, publishing, engaging in educational activities. And I'm very proud to say that we have published the first formal guidelines from an organization about the integration of palliative care in pediatric oncology. And actually that paper, the title of that paper is the name of this educational course. So there's more to come, so please do stay tuned to our working group. One of the things, or one of the first things that we did in 2023 for the SIOP meeting was this flyer, why we need palliative care in pediatric oncology. So it's in a very simple and direct way. I believe it does tell everyone why we need it, and you can download it from our page. And as you can see, it's available in, I think, 20 European languages. So if you cannot find your language there, please let us know, and you can translate the flyer into your language. As I said, we published the paper Embracing Pediatric Palliative Care in Pediatric Oncology from Diagnosis Onwards. And Georgia already showed you some of the figures from that paper. And I would like to show you 2 more. So this one is about what we can add to the usual care in pediatric oncology when we integrate and when we refer patients early to palliative care. So we really add something to the care that we are giving to children and families. And also we must recognize that, as Georgia said, there's not one size fits all. So there can be different models of delivering and integrating palliative care, from the basic care model where staff need to have at least basic pediatric palliative care education. Or we can have an embedded expertise model where you have some of the professionals with advanced education and training, or you can have two teams which are separate, but they work together in a combined expertise model of integrated care. And this is, of course, possible only in larger institutions. So Georgia already told us something about the results of the ADAPT-E survey. I would like to show you two figures. So the conclusions of this survey were that physicians who care for children with cancer in Europe do have a comprehensive understanding of pediatric palliative care. So it's not that the physicians who answered the survey don't know what PPC is about. And they do recognize the importance of early, timely palliative care, as you can see here. So many of them do believe that it should be integrated very early on in the disease trajectory. And physicians are also comfortable with many aspects of patient care, especially symptom control. However, there remains some misconceptions about pediatric palliative care, and physicians are not at ease in addressing spiritual needs and in providing grief and bereavement support, as you can see in this figure. So I do encourage you to explore this paper. And at the same time, another research group published this survey on services, palliative care services in pediatric oncology in Europe, and it goes on the same line. So there are services, about 80% of the pediatric oncology departments who answered the survey said that they do have palliative care availability, but as you can see, the demand is higher than the resources, and many barriers still remain. So what can you expect from this course? Well, I do hope that we will be able to bring you out of your comfort zone and start thinking a bit differently about palliative care. That you will see that amongst all the medical advances and breakthroughs that we've been witnessing in pediatric oncology in the past years or the past decade or so, there is more that we can do. There's an extra layer of care and support that we can give to our patients and families, one that actually can increase their quality of life and even their survival. This has been demonstrated in adults. So during these 2 days, you will hear and you will talk about all the different aspects of the integration and care that palliative care can add to pediatric oncology. And I do hope that you understand that palliative care is an umbrella that can help us shield our patients, and palliative care is not the rain. And having the umbrella will not bring on the rain. So this is a very important message. If you are going to the next SIOP meeting in Budapest, you will find us there in many sessions. And we will also have a general assembly for our members, but you're all welcome to show up and sign up to our working group and engage with us. So I hope to see you there in Budapest, and I think we still have a little time for questions.